Hey everybody, DM Jim here, and welcome to another episode of Game Terrain Engineering. I don't play Warhammer 40k. I have too many games already, and that's one that I'm just not willing to yet invest in. I say yet because maybe one day I'll be convinced, but right now it's just not a game I play. But I have a lot of friends that play it, and recently one of my friends asked me if I could show him how to make some scatter terrain or some regular terrain for Warhammer that could be made quick. Okay, I always like it when people ask if something can be made quick. You can make stuff quick. It just may not be as polished as something that takes you, 3 or 4 times as long. So I asked him. I said, what do you mean by quick? He wanted something that he could make fast, and I'm assuming under an hour. He never said that, but he wanted something that could be repeatable. I told him to give me a week or so, and I'd come up with something for him. It's sort of a commission. He wants me to make a bunch of them, but I told him, I said, how about I make one, and if you like it, then I'll either make more, or you can save some money and you can make them yourself. And his comment was, it depends on what it's made out of. So I knew the 3D printer was off limits because he doesn't have one. And I also know that he does have paint, but he doesn't have a lot of the tools that I have. But he is a woodworker, so I kept that in mind. Or he does woodworking. He has like drills and saws and that kind of stuff. So what did I come up with for him? Well, I don't know what I'm going to call this because I don't play Warhammer. I saw something similar to it on an image search. He plays the Necrons. Is that right? Necrons. So I did a search for images, and I noticed that the Necrons have a black and green color scheme. So with that in mind, I went to the hardware store and started looking at just things he could get to, paint or glue together. And what I came up with is pieces that cost total less than about $5 to make this. And again, I don't know what I'm going to call this. It's sort of like a battery, maybe. It's made out of 2 PVC pieces, some rubber tubing filled with water that's been colored with green food coloring, some of my granny grating, and then paint. That's it. Total time to make this, total time that it was in my hands was under an hour. Now I'm not counting paint drying time. So what I would tell you is, if you want to duplicate something like this, keep watching the video. I'm going to show you how I made it. But you would probably want to make 5 or 6 of these at a time because, you glue one, move on to the next one. By the time you get done with the 5th or 6th one, you can come back and, paint one. All of these were primed in gray and then hand painted black with some other colors, lime green and things like that. The tubing, I already had, 1/4 inch, this stuff right here. I had it laying around. You might have to buy it, but it's dirt cheap. Cut 4 pieces, and it does involve drilling into PVC, which is easy. You can do it with a hand drill, you can do it with a drill press, whatever you got. So anyway, let's get to the table and I'll explain how I made this thing, this Necron thing. Okay, these are standard PVC and they're called reducers, basically because they take a larger diameter and reduce it to a smaller diameter. Sometimes they're also called increasers because they increase the diameter. But typically in a hardware store, you're going to find these called reducers. These are 2-inch, let me double check that. Yeah, they're 2-inch by 1.5. So 2-inch here, 1.5 here, and you can put it on a mat and verify it. And they're about, let me see, how much did I pay for them? I paid $1.40 each. So together, almost $3. Basically what you need to do is take the 2 pieces of PVC and glue them together with PVC cement and then drill holes at the 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 9 o'clock positions. You can use a hand drill for that or a drill press, and you'll end up with something that looks like this. Take some chipboard, cut a couple circles out, trace the PVC to get those, and then cut a plus symbol on one of them and glue it down. And then I just took some wooden circles and glued those down as well. Painted everything gray primer, and then I gave everything a coat of glossy black paint. Took some granny grating and painted a sheet of paper green. Choose whatever color you want here, but I also painted some of the little wooden circles green. Then I glued the granny grating down on top of the green paper after the paint dried, and used some masking tape to mask off certain areas of the PVC before hitting it with a dark gray. After that, I glued on the green dots on the top, and then I attached the granny grating with the green paper underneath it around the center to cover the seam between the two halves of PVC. Up next, I cut some tubing to 4.5 inch length. You'll need 4 of these, and of course you want to match the holes you drill to the size or diameter of the tube you're using. After I cut those 4 pieces, I used a piece of black foam, very thin foam. I rolled it up and stuck it in the end, and then used a pin to sort of push it down a little bit, about 1/4 inch, maybe 1/2 inch. And then I used hot glue to seal the tube on just one end. After that glue dries, you can take some water. I have a little bottle of a little water dispenser. Just fill it up with water, leave about maybe 1/4 to 1/2 inch at the top, and then use some green food coloring. Just put a single drop. This stuff will get really dark. And after you get that drop in there, don't shake it up. Just it'll disperse on its own. Use another piece of foam to seal the other end, and then some hot glue to seal the foam and keep it watertight. After that, I basically just pushed the tubes into the holes, and I used hot glue to sort of seal them in place to hold them together so they didn't come out again. I used some hot glue to seal on the top, and then I took some touch-up paint and hit the spots where I'd made some mistakes. I also used some real blinding green, lime green paint to paint the top 4 circles. And then I used some painter's tape to just create some lines, like flow lines, and hit that with the green as well. When it dried, I pulled the tape off, and it left behind these nice, crisp lime green lines. Pretty easy, right? I mean, 2 PVC reducers, they were less than $1.50 each. I want to say they were $1.37. Don't hold me to that. 2 of those glued together. You can't use hot glue, it doesn't stick well to PVC. Super glue is not all that great, but it will hold it. I just used PVC cement. That comes with a cost, but maybe you have a friend that has some in the garage. It lasts forever. I have 2 cans that I've had forever, so I just went out there and and they stick together very well. Granny grating, 1/4 inch tubing, paint. Of course, the wooden pieces on top, you could cut those out of cardboard if you want, if you don't have the little wooden circles. But, it's nothing fancy, but it's got some weight to it. And the color scheme is the Necron color scheme for Warhammer. But you could change the color scheme. I could have done this in electric blue or red or yellow. I mean, any color that really stands out on black would have probably looked good. So I hope you like it. It's hollow on the inside, glue to, hold everything together. You might consider lighting it up from inside with some LEDs. I didn't do that. That would have added to the cost and complexity of it, and I would have had to have worked around the tubing to try to weave some LEDs in there. But the green liquid, it doesn't show up well on video, but trust me, in person, you can tell that there's a liquid in there. It just has that look to it. Call this what you want. I'll have to come up with some sort of name for it for the episode. It's science fiction-y, definitely. It's definitely Warhammer-ish looking, and it has that green-black color scheme that I saw for the I can't say it, the Necrons. But again, it doesn't have to be for Warhammer. It could be for any science fiction setting. Some of you are playing the Rogue Stars game from Osprey Games. Rogue Stars requires science fiction terrain, just scatter terrain. This would be perfect for that. So anyway, under an hour to make. Really easy. Just a standard piece of terrain to put on your table, and very inexpensive. Probably less than $4 or $5 per piece. Probably even less than that. Probably closer to $3 because the tubing You know, you buy tubing in real long lengths, and the amount you're going to use is just negligible. And of course, the granny grating. So anyway, hope you like it. Hope my friend likes it. He hasn't seen it yet. So anyway, this is DM Jim, and I will see you in the next episode.